Hey, hello everyone, and welcome to this week's market recap. I'm Chris here with Elewave Cafe. Let's take a look at what's been happening. Definitely very interesting developments. If we look at the U.S. market, if we look at the European markets where we've had some major sell-offs, if we look at the small caps, if we look at the Dow, maybe even at the equal weight. So there is quite a bit of discrepancy here between multiple markets. Definitely, the US markets continue to be led by technology and very large cap stocks. They continue to push this market forward. But something is definitely not feeling all right with the market. So I can't really argue with the price section. I continue to favor the count that you see here in front of you that we are in a larger third wave. There is a small chance, or maybe bigger than small, that this could be a fifth wave. There's clear no evidence yet of such a thing. And you can see that we're continuing to push and close to new all-time highs. So from an elevated perspective, I continue to favor discount. I think the market will definitely show us once it's getting into trouble by breaking below some of these key levels. When we swing lower, like a 5200, maybe even a 5000, if we're ever going to get back there in terms of pullbacks. But for right now, this continues to look pretty good. Now, if you look at the weekly closes, just from a pure price action perspective, you can see, we definitely cleared that 5300 zone. We're closing at new all-time highs. We have a pretty good volume in here, so there's really not a lot of things to really go by in here. Everything kind of looks okay with the market. I like to look definitely at the leaders and what's carrying this market forward. And you can see in here, NVIDIA, it's really not doing anything wrong. I mean, it's in a pure, simple uptrend, as simple as it gets. Maybe a bit extended above its, 30-week moving average here, but doesn't mean that is necessarily a bearish sign. This is the NY FANG index with all these kind of larger cap stocks, and look at Apple breaking from that massive 200 level, propelling this market higher. You look at Microsoft closing a new all-time high. You look at Netflix also acting pretty well here with the closing high. Meta, it's still struggling a little bit in here, but it's trending back to the upside. You got Google, that's totally fine, and then Tesla, that I'm still pretty bearish on as long as we're below this 30-week moving average. So I'll look for opportunities to short this one until those levels get cleared. And then you have Amazon, that's just in a nice clean uptrend, just kind of consolidating. So if you look at the guys that at the stocks that have the biggest influence on the market, you can't really argue with what's happening here price-wise, and it's very hard to fight these. And then we go back and look at the U.S. sectors and see, that technology, remains one of the best performance, and that pulls the market forward. Now, of course, if you're in the wrong stocks, if you're in some smaller cap, even mid caps, and things that are not in the proper areas, your portfolio or your stocks might not be performing that well. But again, it continues to show that sticking with these leaders pays out. Back to the U.S. sectors. You got technology, you got communication in here that looks pretty decent. I mean, even healthcare seems to be making like a small cup and handle in here. You can see that level up there if that gets taken out, I think we're going to push higher. Discretionary is fairly okay. Industrials pulling back in a little bit of an ABC in here. Utilities, who cares about those? Financials are looking good after a nice period of outperformance. So just a small pullback. Energy, it's pretty much out of favor here. I would not do a lot with it, but definitely the technology sector is the strongest one. So we got to stick with that until that changes. But there's no real reason to fight that area at the moment, right? So going forward in here with the next kind of chart, you will see the equal weighted index it's kind of flat. Um, I don't even know if this index it's even worth looking at that much, right? I mean, it's a measure of breadth, but um, you know, I know that people that are bearish usually, try to pull this stuff all the time and just talk about, hey, these stocks are not participating. You can't really have a market that's pulled by just, 10 names or 20 names. Well, first of all, I think there's way more than that. And then, I go into our updates here through a lot of those, stocks, and I try to present as much as possible, trends in multiple industries and multiple sectors. And we continue to show pretty good strength in a lot of that. But you want to be with the stocks that lead, with companies that have something really to offer. And I don't know if equal weight really does it any justice, right? Because there's a lot of stuff in here, that might not just be pulling. So I don't know. I'm not a big fan of this necessarily. Look at the Nasdaq. You know, pushing. I mean, look at a Nasdaq Composite. Also, look at the volume too. So semiconductors here closing again at the new all-time highs, looking pretty strong. Dow Jones, struggling a little bit after this attempt to break out at 40, but you rarely see a level like that of 40 or like a round number 30K or something, and then the market all of a sudden pulls back and that's the top. I think we're gonna pass that and continue to push higher. You have IWM in here that's continuing to struggle. We talked about this into our updates. You want to get above 207 and 210 to start getting excited about getting back into this small cap. There was definitely, with the Fed announcement and with the CPI kind of coming lower, we had a nice spike up there almost towards 207, and then we kind of got rejected for the rest of the week. Not sure if this is necessarily a bearish sign. We'll see how the next week kind of comes on, but continues to have a lot of false starts. Bitcoin in here, close some long positions, that we bought on this move up here, on this bullish move, just because it's not really acting right anymore, and it's trying to break some lower levels. I'll be interested again if we're breaking back above 70K. So, just kind of got out of those positions and just kind of waiting for the market to show me a better sign on this. I do continue to remain bullish, and the wave counts are still pointing towards 90, 100,000, and then further up in the larger third wave. I don't think this is a double top. Sure, if you start to lose 60K in here, we could have bigger problems, but you have a nice rising 40-week moving average. I think is just kind of continuing to gather strength. On the smaller time frame, we're looking at this as a possible wave 2, counting this as a wave 1 with a wave 2. And again, I have all of that into these. Some of this stuff is free, some of this stuff is paid, but this is a pretty cheap service, about $8. So you can get access to all my videos and all the information there. The next one, it's Ethereum, which nice reaction here from the 10-week. I'm not bearish on it in any way. I think it's going to continue to go higher. It's just got to kind of take its sweet little time, and then Treasury yields. This should be positive for the market, kind of starting to pull lower. US dollar a bit concerning here with a couple of weekly closes at the highs. Nothing really necessarily super scary just yet. If you're going to break 106, then that could bring some selling into the overall equity markets. Gold in here, I caution a little bit on it because we're closing below the 10-week moving average a couple of times. We need that to kind of be recaptured to reinitiate more of the uptrend. But for right now, I would be, a slight seller. Take profits if you have them. No point to really initiate long positions on gold at the moment until maybe back above 2,400. For right now, it's a kind of a hold and wait in both gold and silver. Oil, is just a big sideways mess, not doing a whole lot. So I wanted to talk a little bit also about these kind of major markets. You can see, again, we're looking at the Nasdaq Composite, we're looking at the S&P, but look what's going on in, let's say, in Europe. Right, so you got the top 100 stocks in there, and we got some major sell-offs back into the 150-day moving average in here, the 30-week. We'll see what the reaction is. I think that this is going to hold on its attempt, on the first attempt. This one didn't on France 40, right? The CAC index here broke lower. You also have the FEZ ETF in here. You got the German DAX also pushing to the downside. So this is what I mean when I talk about these other signals in these other markets. What's going on in here. Are these markets kind of sounding some kind of an alarm for the United States? I think we got to treat each market, independently. But just looking, at the Nasdaq Composite and the S&P again, pretty bullish behavior. But I still think we're just slightly extended above our moving averages in here, and I would not be surprised to see a little bit of a pause. It doesn't mean that we're going to get, some kind of a larger sell-offs like we're seeing in the European markets, but maybe more of a, wait for these moving averages to kind of catch up. Again, these stocks could start to move sideways a little bit and just kind of digest their gains. Kind of tighten the belt a little bit. I would definitely sell any of the weak stocks. Maybe just kind of raise stops in some of these better performers. Just kind of, prepare for the possibility that we might be pulling back, right? Even though there is no real signs yet from the U.S. markets. But, these Europeans, are sounding a little bit of an alarm. So, I regarding my own portfolio, I adjusted, some of the stuff that I owned and, pulled back a little bit on the long exposure, not a lot. I'm definitely very interested in Apple and, the breakout that it's had. It looks pretty amazing there if you look. And I think it's probably, has a lot of potential to move towards 250, maybe even 300 over, number of months, who knows, maybe even into the next year. But it's a pretty large, big breakout that I would definitely, not ignore. In here, I think there is a new upgrade cycle coming. I'm looking to upgrade my phone. I have an iPhone 8. My kids have, my wife, it's, we all kind of want to upgrade to this newer kind of AI phones that are going to come up in the fall and all of that. And there's, I think, probably a lot of people waiting to see what that's going to do. But, Apple here looks pretty amazing. Nvidia does look well. Google also looks good. So, I'm not going to kind of keep beating the drum, but, I remain pretty much well invested here in an uptrend, and just kind of waiting to see how we're going to close next week. So anyway, that's all I have for today. Thanks for watching. Come and see us on LLF Cafe in here for more daily drip updates, videos and all of that. So thanks for watching, everyone. Bye bye.